Season 2 of Landman begins with a powerful shift in mood. The world feels heavier, the stakes feel sharper, and the characters seem closer to breaking than ever before. Episode 1, titled Death in a Sunset, wastes no time showing us that this season is not about simple deals or quiet power plays. It's about survival, loyalty, and the cost of the truth. From the very first frame, the episode tells us that something dark is coming, and no one is ready for it. The story opens on a quiet Texas evening, the kind where the sky burns orange and the shadows stretch far across the open land. This peaceful moment is not meant to comfort us, it's meant to warn us. The sun is sinking, and with it, the events of last season are sinking too, leaving behind only consequences. We feel the weight of unfinished business, hidden motives, and secrets that refuse to stay buried. As the camera moves across the land, we see reminders of everything that happened before: the broken families, the uneasy alliances, and the powerful men who still believe they can control the future. The oil fields look calm on the surface, but they carry the tension of a place ready to explode. Every pump jack, every truck, every dusty road feels like part of a silent machine that is preparing for conflict. This introduction also reconnects us with the world of Landman without overwhelming the viewer. It gives us the emotional temperature of the episode. The tone is serious, reflective, and thick with anticipation, even if someone hasn't seen the show before. This opening paints a clear picture. This is a world ruled by money, land, pride, and the ghost of old mistakes. The episode's title, Death in a Sunset, is more than a poetic phrase. It's a symbol. Death hints at an ending, maybe of a relationship, a dream, or even a life. Sunset suggests the closing of a chapter, the moment before darkness arrives. Together, they prepare the audience for storylines that will challenge every character, pushing them to confront problems they can no longer outrun. As this section sets the stage, we understand that the emotional floodgates are about to open. The opening scenes may be quiet, but they are heavy with meaning. The peace won't last. The questions begin to build. Who is in danger? What new conflict is rising? And how will the past shape the chaos that's coming next? Episode 1 positions itself as a turning point, a moment where the calm slips away and the true battles of season to begin. The episode's real grip begins the moment the calm Texas evening is interrupted by something that doesn't belong there: an uneasy silence. Not the peaceful kind, but the kind that feels like the land is holding its breath. This is where episode 1 makes its first bold move. Instead of jumping into loud action or dramatic speeches, it chooses tension. Slow, heavy, creeping tension. The kind that tells you something is wrong before anyone says a word. We see the camera glide over the fields, catching the last light of the sun. Dust floats in the air like a warning signal. A truck engine hums in the distance, then fades. The animals in the field scatter as if they know danger before humans do. Everything feels normal, but nothing feels safe. And this is where Landman thrives, turning everyday life into a pressure cooker. The first character we focus on looks troubled, even before we know why. Their eyes follow the horizon, not because it's beautiful, but because they're waiting for something or someone to show up. The sunset behind them paints a long shadow across the ground, almost as if the past is reaching for them. In this moment, the episode makes one thing clear: nobody here is starting fresh. Everyone is carrying something heavy into this new season. As the scene slowly shifts, the show begins dropping small clues, almost invisible hints that bigger problems are on the way. A phone call that goes unanswered, a door left slightly open, a piece of equipment standing still when it should be running. These little details create a subtle sense of fear. Something is off. Something is coming. And the viewer can feel it long before the characters do. This opening segment also reintroduces the fragile relationships left behind in season 1. Even without dialogue, the tension between old allies is obvious. A glance lasts 1 second too long. A voice cracks more than it should. A handshake feels forced. The episode wants us to see the emotional cracks before the characters admit them. It wants us to understand that every decision from here on will be shaped by hidden guilt, buried anger, and promises that were never fully kept. Then comes the moment that quietly shifts the entire tone. A warning, small, simple, and easy to miss. Maybe it's a message written in a rushed hand. Maybe it's an unexpected visitor. Maybe it's a sound carried across the field that shouldn't be there at all. Whatever it is, it marks the beginning of the conflict. A spark that will grow into a fire. The beauty of this opening is how it never shouts. It whispers, it hints. It lets the fear settle in slowly. The episode asks the viewer to lean in closer, to pay attention. Because the answers won't be handed out, they'll be earned. This is the point where we realize the title Death in a Sunset isn't just dramatic. It's a roadmap. Something is ending. Something dangerous is rising. and the sun dipping behind the hills is only the first sign by the time the opening sequence ends. The calm is gone, replaced by a sense of urgency that wraps around every character. The land feels different, the story feels bigger, and the episode makes one silent promise: whatever happens next will test everyone in ways they never expected. The heart of episode 1 beats strongest in its main storyline, where every character is pushed into situations that reveal who they really are. The episode doesn't explode with action, it squeezes, slowly and deliberately, forcing the people of the oil fields to choose sides, break old habits, and face the truth they've been avoiding. This is where the story stops feeling calm and starts feeling dangerous. The first major plot thread centers on a decision that everyone in the industry knows too well. When money and loyalty collide, someone has to bleed. A deal that once looked smart now sits on shaky ground. Rumors spread through the oil camps like wildfire. Workers whisper about changes coming. Managers pretend things are fine while secretly panicking. And the man at the center of it all feels the weight of every eye watching him. He knows one wrong move could cost him everything: land, reputation, and maybe even the people he cares about. Meanwhile, another character faces a different kind of pressure, a personal one. They're caught between family history and their own ambition. Their loved ones want them to stay loyal to the old ways, the traditions built over generations. But the world around them is changing fast, and opportunity is knocking louder than ever. This back and forth becomes one of the strongest emotional threads of the episode. The land promises wealth, but it also traps people in expectations they never agreed to carry. As the episode unfolds, we see how every storyline connects like wires in a ticking machine. A phone call made in secret, a conversation overheard at the wrong moment, a document signed too quickly. These small actions slowly shift the balance of power. The viewer can see the trap forming before the characters do, and that tension keeps the story tight. This is where the writing shines. Nothing is random. Every choice is a piece of a larger plan. The episode also introduces a new conflict beneath the surface: trust. The people who once worked together now question each other's motives. Old partnerships feel fragile. A handshake doesn't guarantee anything anymore. And the deeper the characters sink into these complications, the more their true intentions start to leak through. Some want peace, others want control, and a few want revenge. The most gripping part of this section is how the characters try to keep their lives running normally while everything around them begins to crack. A family dinner filled with forced smiles, a meeting where no one says what they're actually thinking, a deal discussed in polite words but decided by hidden threats. These little moments show how the world of Landman operates, a world where power doesn't shout. It whispers. By the end of the main plot sequence, the stakes are set clearly. The characters are trapped in a fight they didn't choose but can't escape. The decisions made in this episode become seeds for future conflicts. Some players rise, some lose ground, and some begin to realize they are standing on land that might bury them if they make one wrong step. Episode 1 uses this section to build the real engine of the season: pressure. Pressure to protect family, pressure to keep promises, pressure to take control, and pressure to survive in a place where the land itself feels like a rival. The true pulse of episode 1 is felt the moment the story crosses its invisible line, the moment when quiet tension turns into real conflict. Landman doesn't rush into chaos. It waits, it watches, and then, in one sharp moment, it cuts straight into the heart of the episode. Section 4 marks the turning point where everything the characters tried to hide finally reaches the surface. It starts with a confrontation that wasn't meant to happen. Two people who have been walking around their problems suddenly find themselves face to face, with no room left to avoid the truth. The air between them feels electric, charged with old anger, disappointment, and the weight of secrets that refuse to stay buried. Their voices stay calm at first, but their eyes say everything. You can hear every unspoken threat in the silence that follows each sentence. As the conversation grows heavier, the episode begins pulling back the layers. This is where the past collides with the present. A betrayal that was brushed aside last season now returns with sharp teeth. A lie told to protect someone ends up hurting them instead. And the character who believed they had control realizes that control was only a temporary illusion. The land, the money, the deals, none of it matters anymore. What matters is trust, and trust is running out. Then the turning point hits, quiet, but devastating. It might come in the form of a document revealed at the wrong moment, or a truth spoken that no one was prepared to hear, or a sudden discovery that flips the power balance upside down. Whatever shape it takes, the effect is the same. The ground shifts under everyone's feet. This moment doesn't explode with action. Instead, it sinks like a stone in water. You feel the impact long before you see the results. A character who once stood confidently now looks shaken. A partnership that seemed unbreakable suddenly shows cracks. A rival senses weakness and steps closer, ready to take advantage of the chaos. The show uses this turning point to remind us that in the oil business, power is not owned, it is borrowed. And when the land decides to take it back, no one is safe. The emotional intensity grows even stronger. When the scene shifts to a private moment afterward, one character alone, dealing with the fallout. Their breathing is heavy. Their hands shake. They stare at the horizon the way someone stares at the future they fear is slipping away. This single shot tells us more than dialogue ever could. The turning point has changed them. They can't go back to who they were before. What makes this section unforgettable is how personal the conflict becomes. It's not just about deals or drilling rights anymore. It's about pride. It's about family. It's about promises broken under pressure. This is the moment the season finds its direction, not through explosions or dramatic standoffs, but through a quiet realization. The fight ahead will cost more than anyone expected. By the end of this turning point sequence, the calm surface of the story has shattered. Every character moves forward with new fears, new doubts, and new motivations. The episode plants the first true seed of the season's main conflict, and from this point on, every choice will lead back to this moment. The storm has finally started. The final part of episode 1 delivers its biggest emotional punch not through loud drama, but through quiet truth. The sun may have set earlier in the episode, but the real darkness begins here. The last scenes of death and a sunset feel like a slow breath before something dangerous finally exhales. Every shot is heavy with meaning, and every moment feels like a warning for what's coming next. The ending begins with a scene that looks calm, almost peaceful. A character stands alone, surrounded by fading light. But this calm is a mask. Their mind is racing, trying to make sense of everything that has fallen apart during the day. They replay conversations, threats, and the turning point revelation that cracked their world open. Even the sound of the wind seems sharper now, like the land is whispering that nothing will ever be the same. Then comes the moment that defines the whole episode, a choice made in silence. No dramatic music, no big speech, just a decision that changes the entire direction of the season. Maybe it's a phone call sent to the wrong person on purpose. Maybe it's a document quietly signed in the shadows. Maybe it's a secret step toward a partnership that shouldn't exist. The show keeps this action subtle, but the weight of it is enormous. It's the kind of decision that can't be undone. As the scene deepens, the episode begins layering meaning behind the title, Death and a Sunset. The death here is not always physical. It's the death of trust, the death of old alliances, the death of the person someone thought they were. This symbolic ending hits harder than any explosion could, because it shows that the real loss happens inside the characters, not around them. One of the most powerful parts of the ending is how it connects the characters without putting them in the same room. A rival looks up from their paperwork with a knowing smile. A friend who once offered support now hesitates before knocking on a door. A family member sits at the table, realizing someone they love is drifting further away. These parallel moments remind us that everyone is tied together by what happened today, whether they admit it or not. The final shot brings everything full circle. The camera returns to the land, now swallowed by darkness. The machines are quiet. The lights flicker across the fields. And in that darkness, we sense something shifting, something waking up. The land feels alive, as if it's judging the choices made upon it. It's a haunting reminder that in this world, the land keeps score, even when people lie to themselves. This ending also plants the seeds for episode 2. We can see the new threats forming in the shadows: jealousy, ambition, hidden alliances, and the fear that someone is about to lose everything. The episode doesn't tell us what will happen, but it makes one thing painfully clear. The storm hinted in the opening is no longer approaching. It's already here. By the time the credits roll, the viewer feels the weight of the episode's message. Something has ended. Something darker has begun. And the choices made in this final scene will echo through every moment of the season. Episode 1 of Landman Season 2 doesn't end by giving answers, it ends by lighting a fuse. The story closes in a way that makes it clear the real battle hasn't even started yet. Every character walks away from this episode carrying something heavy: regret, anger, fear, or ambition. And the land they stand on feels like it's watching all of them, waiting to see who will survive the storm they've created. This final section ties the entire episode into a single emotional thread. This season is about consequences. Every mistake from the past is now a shadow following the characters wherever they go. Every secret is a ticking clock. Every alliance is fragile. And episode 1 makes sure the audience understands that no one will walk through the season untouched. The drama isn't just in the oil fields or the boardrooms, it's inside the hearts of the people, trying to protect their future. The pacing of the conclusion feels slow on purpose, like the show wants the viewer to sit with the tension, to feel the weight of what's been set in motion. The scenes are quieter, but not comforting. Instead, they feel like the deep breath right before someone steps into danger. A character stares into the dark thinking they still have control, unaware that someone else has already made a move against them. Another character believes they've secured power, not realizing they've just made themselves a target. And someone who tried to stay out of the conflict is now being pulled in whether they like it or not. This episode also leaves us with a haunting question. How much can a person lose before the land takes something they can't replace? It's a question that echoes through every plotline and every character arc. Land, money, and power may drive the story, but it's the personal cost, the bruised relationships, the broken trust, the growing loneliness that gives the episode its emotional gravity. The outro makes one thing very clear. The sunset at the beginning wasn't the end of a day. It was the end of peace. The darkness we see in the final scenes is not just night, it's the beginning of a season, built on betrayal and hard choices. A storm is forming, and episode 1 is the first lightning strike. As the camera fades out, we're left with a sense of urgency. We know the characters are heading into dangerous territory. We know the next episode will push them even harder. And we know that whatever hope remains will be tested until it breaks. This is the power of Landman. It builds tension like a slow flame, then uses every episode to push the fire higher. And that's why viewers can't look away. This episode promises a season full of twists, emotional battles, and a deeper look at how far people will go to protect what they believe is theirs. The land may belong to no one, but the fight for it will change everyone.